What up? It's your boy, Mutt-Man, and I'm here with my fine feathered friend, Macho Dan. Say
Oh
hi.
yeah! What up? What's up, everybody?
Macho has smuggled some kind of strange goggles from his workplace. What
They're
is
not
it?
they're not goggles. They're actually they're cycling glasses. Hold on, I'm not even looking at the screen right now. They're cycling glasses and they're just ridiculous. And somebody had put them in the free bin. We have this like where I work, it's like bike shop, and we have stuff for people like free bin if people get parts and things. Anyway, it doesn't matter. These were in there. Who would throw these away?
Who would throw those away? Obviously,
These are
that's ridiculous.
perfectly good, incredible uh, glasses, and I think I'm just gonna wear them the whole time.
I think you should.
I feel kind of like Narwhal, like he wears that Batman mask when
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
streaming. Kind of like that. Maybe not quite as cool, but kind of like that. They're itching my nose. I can't wear them right now. Oh, anyway, I'm back. I'm here.
All right,
And
we're gonna do our review, and it's gonna be all spoilers.
all spoilers, 100%. I'm gonna try to get the let me get the chat up.
Yeah, you help me handle the chat,
Can do.
and we'll I mean we'll have a couple people watching here in just a minute.
Yep, nobody yet.
Nobody yet. We'll jump in just a second, but I just wanted to say that we're going to have to stop this broadcast right about maybe 10:15 or so, because we are going on to Bruce Patnod's show right after this.
That
Talk
is
about
right.
Hero.
That's correct.
Hero is launching.
Are you sorry? I'm doing all these things.
Sorry, your face was priceless right there.
I was wondering what you were saying. You like stopped, and I was like, oh, he cut out. He went robot.
No, man. I didn't go robot. I think I'm good to go.
No, you stopped, and you were looking at me, and I was like, ooh.
Because I did something odd, and you looked at me like I was odd, so I stopped to laugh, basically.
Okay.
You know how much I enjoy that.
I know you do.
But yeah, though this is we are launching our project Hero Blood of Patriots, April 30th. That's Tuesday.
It's gonna be exciting.
We are in the gearing up process, and we're trying to get as many sort of like shows as we can gather up. I think we have got a show with Nasser coming up on the 30th. Yep. Is that true?
Yeah, so it's we have to confirm times. As of right now, looks like we're gonna go on there at some point. Nasser doesn't do a whole lot of late streams, but he did invite us on, so we're gonna try to get on there on the 30th. That would be great. Worst case scenario, we'll do our own, and we'll just invite a bunch of friends or something like that.
Yeah, that's absolutely cool too. We might do that anyway, but yeah,
sure. But yeah, we'll be doing. Hopefully, we'll be on Nasser. He was kind enough. He reached out a couple weeks ago, so
very nice. Very nice.
Probably do that. Yeah, absolutely.
We've got a lot of people who are kind of like being very gracious and letting us get on their show and talk about our projects. So we're going to take advantage of that in every place we can get over the next couple months.
Yeah, absolutely. As many as we can.
All right. So we kind of gave our here we go with the yawning already, man.
I'm sorry. I do it all the time. I can't help it. I start talking and I do that, and
it's like post 9:30 you go into Yawnsville.
It's absolutely true. I can't help it. I
think it has something to do with your what do you call it when you're a wolf man? What do you call it? Lanko.
Oh, a lycanthropy.
Yeah, I think it's your lycanthropy.
That must be what it is.
Like especially when the moon's not full, you just kind of get your yawns going.
It's also because I have children and they have worn the crap out of me.
Oh, buddy.
Kids,
buddy,
are like who needs like to go run a mile or anything? They're like workout. Like kids just wear you the heck out.
Tell me
I
about
sleep
it.
Good every night because of my freaking kids.
Yeah, I know what you mean, man. I know what you mean.
I'm just gonna put these on for a second, and I'll be like,
all right, I'll just yell real loud if I think you've fallen off.
I
All
mean,
right.
these are the coolest glasses I've ever seen.
So yeah, so let's talk about the movie.
Let's do it.
All right. Yeah,
All right.
this again, I mean, just to make sure everybody, just so we're in the clear, it's a spoiler. We're going to spoiler it up. Talk about this movie. So don't watch
Spoiler.
this if you don't want to know about it.
That's right. That is absolutely right. So I was thinking maybe we should go through things we really didn't like first,
Okay.
and
Negative
then
first,
negative first, and then we'll go through all the positive things we like.
and
How does that sound?
we'll end positively.
We'll end positive.
I
That's
think
right.
that's a good thing.
Okay. Have you in the last couple of days um, decided ultimately that you like it, or that you grown to start disliking it more and more?
Oh, it's really sliced 50-50 right down the middle for me.
Yep. So
Yeah.
so I've come to a conclusion that um, I think I'm fine with it, and I feel like I have decided that I'm gonna like it, and this is why. It's because I don't want to waste a bunch of energy hating it,
Hmm.
because that movie, while there was some things that I don't like, and we'll get into that in a minute, ultimately it was the send off for a lot of characters that I loved,
Yeah.
and I think they did the send off right
Hmm.
for the most part, and so I'm gonna choose to enjoy it, and choose to enjoy it for like the popcorn, like, just movie that it was,
Yeah.
and I'm not gonna hate it. So, like, for example, with the Last Jedi, I really wanted to like it after the first one, and I fought hard. I fought you hard to really like it.
Yeah.
But the more I have attempted to watch it, I haven't successfully watched it all the way through. But the more I have attempted to watch it, or I've read about it, or I've just experienced Star Wars current state, I have really soured to it.
Yeah.
So my plan is I'm taking a lot of the things that I hated about this out of it, and I'm going to enjoy it for the spectacle it was, and for the, like, 11-year movie streak. Wherever it goes from here on out, there's bound to be good Marvel movies, and there's bound to be really terrible ones. And we'll see what happens there. But for this one, I'm gonna say it's still a thumbs up for me. I enjoyed it a lot.
Okay. And I will concur on all of that. Basically, like it is a thumbs up movie.
Yeah,
It is definitely worth if you've invested your time into Marvel movies, like if you've seen more than 5 Marvel movies and you kind of care about it, you should definitely go watch this movie
yeah,
because it's a good movie in the sense that, it's the end of an era, and
yeah.
you should see how they end it, So like and man, there's so much entertainment. I mean, it is an entertaining movie in a lot of ways.
Absolutely, it definitely is.
But let's get into the negatives
All right, let's hit it. Let's
because
do
for
it.
me there are many.
Yeah, there's quite a few, I'd say.
All right.
I'll agree with that.
I take this movie the well I take this movie. We're talking about the negatives just in this movie. I'm going to try to just keep it just to this movie and not like overall the last several years, right? But
Right.
some of the things they're doing in this movie relate to how Disney has started to handle their business,
Sure.
and it's showing up in this movie. And so for me, probably you just want. I'm just going to start off, man. I'm going to
Get.
throw the worst thing they
I
could
know
have
what you're
done.
gonna say, and I agree.
Cap
Okay.
should never, ever, ever, ever. Captain America should never, ever, ever say, "Hail Hydra."
You're right.
Not
Yeah.
in print, not
Yeah.
in movie, not in character, in no way, regardless of the reason behind it.
Yeah.
Captain America should never say "Hail Hydra," and that, in my opinion, is almost like a blasphemy. It's a little bit unforgivable in a sense.
Yeah.
And I feel like they took a principled character, and just before they send him off, right? Just before they do the big Captain America finale, they have him say "Hell Hydra."
And so you said something to me the other night, and it stuck with me the entire time until now, and I still agree with it. And you said that Captain America he is the symbol of like truth and justice and the American way and all that's good in this world. Like that Cap is that symbol.
He's a
And
virtue. He's a walking
yeah,
virtue.
he's exactly, and he should never lie. He shouldn't lie.
Yeah.
And in that situation, even though he was doing it for the right reasons, it was a lie. And so then I was thinking about it, and at the end of the movie, he picked up Mjolnir, right? And
Yeah.
we'll get into
Yeah.
that in a second. But that means he's worthy, right?
Right.
Would somebody who's worthy deceive? I guess I was thinking.
Well, it wasn't so much.
Maybe I'm getting into too much like theology related, but
Yeah.
I was just thinking.
No. Well, the worthiness has to do with, yeah, being worthy of Thor is basically being, morally good and being a moral compass, basically, that people can rely on. But I would say that not just the fact that it's not necessarily that it's a lie, that he told a lie. It's that he took the shortcut. He took the easy way out, and that
Cap
is what
never
goes.
does that.
Cap never takes the easy
Never
way
takes the
out,
easy
man.
way. Yeah.
He would fight those guys for 6 months in that elevator before he would say Hail Hydra.
And not only that, he at the end of the movie, he literally stands up to Thanos and the biggest, nastiest army you've ever seen. Like makes the orcs at the Battle of Helm's Deep look like nothing.
Yeah.
And he wasn't going to take out like 8 guys in a elevator. He's already done it once in his life.
Exactly.
So
Why would he not
I
do it
agree
again?
with that. And they just did that. That's current comic politics they played that card hard on that.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that hurt me the most in this movie. That should have never happened. It should have never happened in the comics. And in the comics, they said, this is reality. Cap was always a Nazi. This is true, and the what happened in Marvel Comics, because and they're saying that because the Red Skull changed reality, and so I get that it's still a terrible. That was one of the absolute worst decisions Marvel ever made, and I will say that was the worst decision they could have made in this movie. That, like, you and I both were quiet during that part. People were laughing and cheering almost because they're like, yeah. And I was like, even my friend, one of my best friends, like nudged me and was like, he's like, that was great, right? And I was like, no.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. And he loves comics, but he's not on the same level of nerddom, I guess. Maybe.
Yeah,
I don't
sure.
know.
I mean, most of the people in that theater, they thought it was kind of like a cool move, and to them, it was just kind of not a big deal.
A lot of them probably didn't even know what it meant. I bet a lot of people had no clue, and other people were cheering. So they're like, yeah.
To them, it was just a way to, it's just a way to push the movie forward. He needed to get out of there with that scepter, and he got it. That's the only thing they cared about. And they thought Cap was being cool and smooth.
Yeah. But yeah, that was the most terrible scene for me as well. So
yeah, hated that. Absolutely hated that.
But let's talk about so in the beginning of the movie, the first thing that showed up that was like a wink and a nod to current Marvel was Captain Marvel saving Tony.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that it didn't really bother me all that much. Like, it's fine. She flies through space. She has. I will say the sound effect of her flying, whoever did that was great. I think it's a great sound. Like they fleshed it out really well. But her saving Tony, it was definitely, I think, a subliminal, we can save men too sort of situation. And it's fine. Even like, I don't even necessarily care about that. But I did notice it. I'm just saying that to say I noticed it.
Yeah. So yeah, she shows it like Tony Stark is in space, right? And he's got all of this tech around him, and he can't figure it out.
He was in a cave in Afghanistan, and he built a working Iron Man Mark 1 suit.
Yep.
But he didn't. But in space on a spaceship, with all this crazy technology, he couldn't figure out a way
future tech
to get himself to somewhere else. And I know they kind of explained that away in exposition when he was leaving that that video recording for Pepper, and he was like, "We're 1 billion miles away from the closest inhabitable planet."
Yeah.
But we're talking about Tony Stark. That arc reactor in his chest, or the nanite reactor that he had,
Yeah.
could have probably powered that dang spaceship. You know what I mean? Like that,
Oh, dude,
it
come
puts
on.
out power blasts that like were scorching Thanos's like
Yeah.
skin.
Yeah.
It can, or like cuts metal in half and stuff like that. He
Yeah.
could power the spaceship. So
Absolutely.
that's a big plot hole in my opinion.
Mine too, but you know what? Here comes Captain Marvel because she's like Superman. She just comes out of nowhere and she just brings him home, like she just serves
Yep.
him up on a platter, you know.
Yep.
Um, I
And
I saw enough of Captain Marvel, and Captain Marvel's not in this movie very much, maybe 10 minutes the whole
yeah,
movie.
maybe that, maybe if that, I don't even know if she's in that much.
I saw
Um,
enough of her to know that, because I haven't seen Captain Marvel yet, and I saw
Neither have
enough
I.
of
Yeah.
her to know that I don't really care to see Captain Marvel. And the reason is not because it's a female hero. The reason
Right.
is because she's another Superman, and I
Yep.
don't need another Superman in a Marvel cinematic universe
Yeah.
because it's just too easy.
Yeah, she is absolutely entirely too powerful for the Marvel universe. And I was telling our friends the other night after the movie, we were standing there in front of like under the marquee talking, and um, she is too powerful and she has zero kryptonite. There is no weakness.
Yeah,
And they could write a weakness in, but there is nothing currently that can stop her. There's not. Like at the end of the movie, in that giant crazy battle, um, she flies in like Thanos is like giant mega Death Destroyer ship
yeah,
is probably the most powerful ship in the galaxy, right? And
right.
she just comes and flies through it like it's made out of like a wet paper bag, like just.
Yeah,
Once again, her sound effect is awesome. The sound effect is really cool,
yeah,
but she just blows right through it. Entirely too powerful. If it was a male character, entirely too powerful.
yeah.
Like, and that's one of the greatest things about Marvel in general, I think, is that a lot of their heroes are underpowered for the most part. They're
Yeah.
relatable, and I mean, not relatable. Yes, they are, but
Weaknesses. They have.
they have weaknesses, and
Yeah.
weaknesses that are very like apparent. And she doesn't have one. She has short hair now. How do they cut her hair if she's like that powerful? I want to know that too.
I don't think it's like Superman's hair, but
What
yeah,
scissors do you use to cut that hair?
yeah. I don't know, man. But yeah, she comes like she shows. So at the beginning of the movie, she's Carol Danvers. She's got the Carol Danvers hair.
Yeah.
And then, like, for some reason, she had to go. They had to put her into the Carl Manvers look, which I didn't understand. That, like, what, like,
Yeah.
the only thing that is, in my opinion, is probably some kind of an empowerment statement. But
Yep.
what I think it does is it just kind of takes, it just takes a feminine hero and makes her look more manly, which I don't understand how that is an empowerment for female heroes.
Yeah, I agree. I think. Yeah, I think that it would have. I think it works better. Even like the haircut they gave her. Um, it just looked very boyish. I think like they could have done like the mohawk, and I would have been better with it. I think.
Oh yeah, the
You
Mohawk
know,
thing. Yeah.
like
Hmm.
the mohawk would have been all right. I think. I don't know. But yeah, it wasn't a good haircut. And we watched the movie with one of my friend's wives was there, and we watched the movie with her. And at the end of the movie, she was like, "That haircut was awful."
It looked really
She is
weird
like,
and fake,
"It
didn't
is
it?
not good. It just didn't. Yeah, I think it was. It must have been a wig too,
It looked like it.
a
Yeah.
wig, or it was a CGI wig. Is the only is what I figured. But
Yeah. 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 All right. So, getting away from Carl Manvers,
yeah,
um,
let's move on.
uh, I did not like. Um, I didn't really like the way they treated. Because in okay, so in Infinity War,
Hmm.
right? Star Lord had a very like emotional situation that happened to him, right?
Yeah.
And then he dies, right? Well, then they bring him back, and they really did not spend any time whatsoever on Chris Pratt.
No, nothing.
And
Yeah.
I really think, like, if you're talking about star power in this movie,
Right.
he
Yeah.
got gypped.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Now, I know he's not as old, I know that really the main thing is going to be about the original Avengers, and I get that. But
Yep.
Star-Lord Chris Pratt is as important a character and as big in this universe as any of them. And he really just had a few minutes. I mean, maybe 2 minutes in this movie. And when he finally made a reconnection with Gamora, it was a big gag. And
Right.
I felt like
Yeah.
they should have like
Anita the nuts. But
yeah,
it wasn't the same Gamora. But yeah, I get it.
yeah, but at the same time, like so like she knees him in the nuts, and then he gets up, and then she knees him again, or like she knees him
Yeah.
twice.
Yeah.
So it's a weird like. First of all, the gag's not that great,
Yeah.
but second of all, it's just another one where you know they just
Yeah.
didn't do it. They just there was just a ton of sort of disrespect moments.
Yeah.
The
So
greatest one of which we haven't talked about yet.
yeah, I was gonna say, well, I agree with all that. I think Star Lord should have had a little bit more play in the movie, and I guess he came in flying in, he was pissed, he started shooting and stuff, but I did want a little bit more. Like I wanted a face to face almost with Thanos, like him and Thanos, because he killed his daughter,
Yeah,
he killed Star Lord's uh, love of his life.
yeah.
That was terrible, and it was. You're right. It was so emotional between them in the first one. That's what cost them. That was the snap in the first time around.
Hmm.
It's because Thanos got the glove when Quill started punching him in the face,
Yeah.
and there should have been a resolution to that. But I mean, it's okay. That was also during the biggest, like, craziest battle in history. So um, but yeah, let's move on to the other disrespected character. I think is somewhat disrespectful. Um, a gag that went too far, in my opinion, in the movie, and that would be the God of Thunder, Thor.
Oh man. Okay. Before we get into it, we got a quick question from Abe Sapien. He says, "And what's up, Abe? Hope you're doing good." He says, "Was Stan in the cameo? He has not seen it yet." Well,
Oh my gosh, Abe!
dude, welcome to
If
spoiler video. We're up in it.
if you wanna listen, Abe, that's fine.
Yeah.
We will not be offended if you jump out of here. If you want to go in spoiler free for the rest of what we said, but you let us know. We're
Well,
gonna
look,
for
you're up in it, man. The title is spoilers,
it.
so if you want to jump out, jump out. But basically, I will tell you that Stan. Okay, good. Stanley does make a cameo in the
Yeah,
movie. It's brief, but it is funny.
yeah, it is funny. And we can tell you what it is if you're good, but basically, so in the movie, it requires some setup. The heroes, some of the original Avengers and Ant-Man, have to go back, um, using the quantum realm, in time, to different points where the Infinity Stones are, because Thanos has destroyed the Infinity Stones. We learned that in the first like 5 minutes. And so they're in 1940s, and there's this like Camaro or Nova or something, and it's like revving its engine, and it has a sticker on the back that says like "War Not Peace" or something like that. And you see this like kind of pretty babe in the side, like in the passenger seat, and Stan is driving the car, and he runs past, and what does he say again?
He says, "Make love, not
Uh,
war."
Make love, not war, man. And right past a military post. So it was really funny.
We
It was
have the
really
one and only Doug Garrett in the chat. What's
the
up?
one and only. What up, Doug?
What up, DG?
Doug's our boy.
Yeah, so let's get up with Thor. Thor was
Yeah.
absolutely and utterly disrespected. Made me so mad, not mad, but just like it was so annoying to see the God of Thunder treated the way he was in character.
Yeah. Now I will say that it was funny at first, and I was like, Thor let himself go. He knows that he failed, or that he didn't fail. Like that, it was
He's
Thanos
guilty. He feels guilty.
he feels guilty. Thanos had the power of gods on his hand, and he feels guilty for not killing him.
Yeah.
Um, and so he's let himself go. He is probably 50 pounds overweight, and he
Which
has
was
long.
amazing how they did that.
It was incredible. Like the effects are great. One of probably my favorite line in the movie. One of my favorite lines was Rocket comes in and sees him, and he says, "You look like melted ice cream." It was so funny.
Yeah.
And anyway, but this gag, while it was good, and I was like, oh, it's funny. Like, and you see him a couple more times, and he's like he looks like he has like a cardigan on and sweatpants and Crocs and these big sunglasses, and he looks just like
Big
the Big
Lebowski.
Lebowski.
Yeah.
And so I leaned over and said, "The dude abides." As soon as I saw him,
Yep.
and so it was great callback, whatever. But
It went on too long.
it went on way too long, and Thor was fat Thor the entire movie.
Yeah, it
Um,
sucked. It was like Fat Thor. I mean, really? We're gonna go with the gag and we're gonna
yeah,
hang on to it for the entire movie?
yeah, it bothered me to the point that like it took me out of the fight scenes when he was being the God of Thunder again. It took me out. So Thor turned into Volstagg. He literally did look like Volstagg in
Yeah.
some uh,
Yeah. And they allude
images.
to the fact he's Asgardian,
Yeah,
so an Asgardian who gets fat is not so much like a human that gets fat because
mhm,
a Volstagg could fight and,
yeah.
was a great warrior and all that stuff. So yeah, Thor was kind of like that, but he was not. It wasn't just that he was overweight. It was that he was like literally there were so many tears. Thor was
Oh, he was
crying
crying and
and
stuff. Yeah,
sad the whole
yeah.
time.
Yeah, I mean, I almost even get some of that, but he was also like really like it's a lot of Russo humor where he's like kind of like over the top, like weird about like giggly and stuff about things. I don't know. Maybe that was because he was drunk or something most of the time. Um,
Oh,
but
I just thought it was really a lot of soy. Like it was
yeah,
like Thor was just he was soy Thor. It was not good in my opinion,
yeah,
and it bothered me. I wanted him to, like even in Infinity War, like he goes to get that the other hammer, right, the other
yeah,
weapon,
yep,
and does whatever it takes to
yep.
get that. And like he's cocky and arrogant and all that. And I know he
Mhm.
feels bad, and I know he's down and all that kind of stuff. But even when he's got a chance to make it right by going back in time, he's still a mess.
And you know what they're doing with this? So the God of Thunder is going to um, he's going to take a break, and because he's not in shape anymore, this is their chance to do the female God of Thunder. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Oh my gosh.
But so I mean, if that happens or not, that's my conspiracy theory at this point. I think that they did do him wrong, and I wanted to see him come into his own. Like I wanted to see when he calls the lightning down and his eyes start glowing. I wanted to see the lightning hit him, and it like he appears in and it happens where he appears in um his full Thor's like battle armor when the lightning comes down, but I wanted to see him back in the like full on, like, the power of Odin could maybe transform him back into his peak self because he's the God of Thunder. He
Yeah.
is he is Thor Odin's son.
Yeah.
So that took me out of that scene where he was fighting sometimes because I was like, it just doesn't work, man. Thor doesn't look like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Well,
so Abe's agreeing with me. He's going to become unworthy, and that's already happened once. It'll probably happen again, and yeah, I think it's going to be the Jane Foster Thor. I don't know if they'll get what's her name back,
I doubt it. I
but
doubt it. I think they were
it
using B-roll of her in this one, actually.
yeah, you're probably right. So, but anyway,
Well, okay, so those are some pretty big negatives.
mhm.
Any other major negatives? The only other big negative for me was that rescue Gwyneth Paltrow,
uh
Pepper Potts was a complete and total Mary Sue, where she comes flying in that armor,
yeah,
and she is just decimating people
yeah,
with this. And the armor had only just been made for her, right? Like, because Tony tells his kid that she finds the helmet, and he's like, "I made
yeah,
that for your
yeah,
mom." Well, apparently she finds it, and she comes in to rescue, and her name is Rescue in the comics.
yeah.
But man, it's like, oh,
It,
she's
it
so she's
in the
like,
comics too. She doesn't kill. She only rescues.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. So she comes flying in, and she is just like destroying aliens, right?
Yeah,
And all of this cool like Iron Man tech is all over her, and she knows how to use it and everything. And to me, that felt like, what? Like, where did she come from, and why is she here now? Like,
Yep.
and then she flies down, and there's an all girl, you know.
That's what Doug just said. He said the cringy all girl part was awful.
Oh my
Yeah, I
god.
mean, and so I tried to. I was playing devil's advocate, and so I said I kind of like, superheroes can be for everybody, but it what that did, like, that in itself is not necessarily a bad thing. But the thing that I didn't like about it is that they took a movie that was, I mean, it is about all the characters, but they did that very specifically to be like, this is um, these are women and they are so powerful, and they are going to charge and save us. They did not, but that is like the statement I feel like that was made.
Well, there
Yeah,
was a
and Doug
lot.
says
No,
cheesy. It was kind of
dude,
cheesy.
there's a lot of moments in all of these last few movies where the women have come in to save the men,
Yeah,
and it's, but it's nobody cares if that happens. It's just got to be good in the story,
right.
right?
Yep,
Like,
yep.
it's not good in the story. Like, all it got was a bunch of Yas Queen slays, and we heard that
Yeah,
all over our section. My God,
yeah, yeah,
yes, Queen slay, but like
yeah.
none of those characters had done anything to like sort of like make that moment happen. They just
Right.
sort of like gathered together to say, "Hey, we're the ladies, and we're fighting together now."
Yeah, and it ultimately didn't do anything.
Yeah,
Like,
because they were
that
trying
was
to
the
get
scene, but it didn't do anything.
they were getting Captain Marvel a chance, right, to
Yeah,
take uh, the gauntlet, and she grabs it and just takes it. Like, what does she
yeah,
need them for?
yeah.
She's Superman, so why does she need anybody?
Right. And Doug says Ant-Man and the Wasp did it perfect because they were a team. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Oh yeah,
Um,
absolutely, and so much more fun, like
yep, yep. Cool. Well, like, so I think so. It looks like so we got about 30 minutes. Like I said, we're going on with Bruce in a little bit. So we've done negatives. Any other negatives you want to talk about?
I mean, there are some, but those are the major ones. So we can move
Yeah.
on now to the positive things.
Let's move on to the positives. Well, like I said, I think the movie is great. I want to see it again. Part of the negative for me was the actual experience of being surrounded, um, literally surrounded
Wow.
by very out there and open SJWs,
Yes.
and
Yes.
so
Raucous.
it definitely took me out of it in some scenes.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of good in the movie. So the story, I think the story beginning to end was solid.
Mhm.
I kind of liked the like um, going back in time to heist the gems. Like, I thought that was kind of a cool
Yep.
element to it.
Yep.
I thought let's talk about characters. I thought Hulk was pretty cool, Professor Hulk. Um,
Yeah. Not my favorite. Not
It
we've
wasn't
already
my
talked about that.
favorite. Yeah, it wasn't my favorite, but I thought he was all right. I was like, it's kind of cool.
He was just big green Mark Ruffalo, which I didn't.
Yeah,
I'd rather
yeah,
have Hulk, but
yeah,
I don't like Mark Ruffalo personally. Just not my
yeah,
favorite. I much preferred the Edward Norton
yeah.
Hulk. But go ahead.
But I was gonna say they did kind of. This is a positive and negative. Like, I thought it was kind of cool they did Professor Hulk, but they did kind of squeeze him in to the Amadeus Cho Hulk. The
Yeah, a
like,
little
I
bit.
forget what they call him. They call him something. But he's the like he's a big
Genius.
green hipster Hulk.
Yeah, big
Yeah.
green genius
Um,
hipster Hulk. Yeah.
yeah, and that's what they kind of did. Professor Hulk and hipster Hulk, and they squeezed them in. It was fine. Doug says Ant-Man was great. I thought Ant-Man was fine in this movie. I think he served a great purpose.
Mm.
He really tied some things together. He was the linchpin to make things happen.
Yeah.
Um,
They've done his character real solid and a good
yeah,
job.
yeah. Let's talk about the real hero of the entire movie, the one that nobody talks about, the rat that turned on the quantum machine to send to send Scott back in time.
Without that rat, the
The
whole
rat,
movie's
the movie is if that rat. Let's like if you just had a scene and the rat dies before he
that's
walks
right.
over the thing,
That's right.
Thanos wins.
Thanos wins without that rat. Thanos
Without
wins.
that, he is the hero of
Yeah.
the movie, and
Let's
nobody
just do
talks
it.
about that rat.
I know. Let's make that a meme as soon as possible.
All right, absolutely. So Doug says Professor Hulk is his favorite part. The Hulk, that's the Hulk from his childhood, and yeah, I think that was like that's what I liked about it is because that was a Professor Hulk was a cool character. Who did that run?
That's Del Keown, and I
Keown,
think
yeah, that's right.
yeah, and it was who's a writer? Peter David and Del Keown, I think.
Okay, yeah. And yeah, Professor Hulk is great. Anyway, Ant-Man was great. Cap was great, except for the whole Hell Hydra part.
Yeah, I mean
Was,
that, yeah, but I want to say, man,
I love you
absolutely.
3000. Hey, passing fancy. I love you 3000 too. But yes, it did give me some tears in that part. Sorry, go ahead, Jay.
So, yeah, the what was I talking about? What were we talking about?
Cap. I was talking about how
Okay,
I liked Cap.
yeah, Captain America. Okay, so Chris Evans uh, is the best person that could have ever picked to play Captain America,
Absolutely.
and 99% of his performance, as far as I don't care what the actor thinks, like in his real personal life.
Right.
All I care about is when he comes to work, how does
Yep.
he perform?
Yep.
He has been an exceptional Captain America.
Absolutely.
I thought the way that they played his story out was perfect.
Yep.
One of my favorite scenes in the movie, obviously it's everybody's favorite scene, when he picks up Mjolnir.
Oh my gosh.
He starts going to town. It is like the best.
I just got chills, Jason.
Dude, I'm telling you, the whole place, the electricity of the room just went crazy. Gosh. And everybody around us was like weeping and jumping around and stuff.
And both you and I screamed and clapped our hands when that happened.
Yeah. Oh, I did. I was like, yeah. I was like that.
It was incredible
absolutely
when Thor is getting that axe pushed into his chest, and you see Mjolnir get picked up, and you see Cap holding it. It was like I feel like that was something that I didn't know that I needed, but like now I know that I required that in my life. I finally got it. It was so good. And then when he just beats Thanos senseless for a minute was so good. It was that has to be my favorite part. He's there. I have a special connection to Cap. I love him. I've loved him for a long time, and I think that they just really his entire arc throughout the entire MCU is great. They finished him off. I think they finished him off fine. Some people probably didn't like it. But I like the fact that he lived his whole life, his entire life. He missed. He never once gave up on Peggy.
Yeah.
And then he went back. He put everything right, and then he chose to spend his life with her. I thought that was incredible. I thought it was so good.
Dude, it was great. It was great. I thought the Captain America story arc was the great character arc of the movie.
Yeah,
I thought they did a great job with Iron Man 2, but he's so convoluted and has had so much more exposition about his character that it's just a little bit harder to button up.
Yeah.
But as far as what they did with Cap, it was almost perfect except for that one line.
Yeah, I agree. Except for the Hell Hydra line, I was pretty much happy with everything. And the scene where, like I said it before, but the scene where he stands up, he's been fighting Thanos, and he's bloody.
Yeah.
And he's
dirty and beaten up.
And he stands up, and his shield is half of a shield, and he cinches down the buckle, and he's just standing there, and he like puts his hand up.
Yeah, baby.
His hands up, and the entire like nasty Thanos alien like bizarro armor, like guns pointed at him, a giant spaceship, and he's just like, let's do this. And that was so good. And then you see the little Doctor Strange circle come around behind him. The little sling ring.
You hear the broadcast first. Well, on your left. On your left.
That's right. Yep. And
then you get there.
That was great. That was a comic book, a big major comic book battle like put on the screen. And I was incredibly happy with it. I was so happy to see that. And Doug said he just wished he passed the shield to Bucky. I agree with that. I know why they passed it to Sam. And Sam, like you can have the argument. There's history on both of them as far as having the shield. They made a choice. It's it's
dude.
whatever.
Man, listen, a lot of people disagree with me on this. Uh, Falcon is he's the better sidekick.
Yep.
Okay, now Bucky's story is excellent. Well, the Winter Soldier story is an amazing story.
Yep.
But Falcon is the greatest Captain America sidekick.
You're right. Yep.
And he was cool in 1975, when they did Captain America and the Falcon with Jack Kirby.
Mm-hmm.
That for me is Captain America, and I look back on those books with a lot of fondness. So when they pass the shield to Falcon, I think that's a cool move. The problem is, in my opinion, Falcon is just not interesting enough. They've got to do more to make that character more interesting as far as his character and his story.
Yeah, they got a lot of work to do to fill him in as Cap if that's what they choose to do. If they do it, they might be able to make a really good movie out of it, but they have a lot of work to do for sure.
Yeah. All right, so Iron Man dies, and I thought that was perfect. And I actually really love the scene with Pepper Potts when she's like, she doesn't say "I love you." She says,
she's like, "You can
rest. You can rest now. We're gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be fine. You can rest." I thought that was just beautiful. It was a great ending.
It was very heartfelt. That totally did get me a little bit. Like I could feel the macho tears coming into my eyes, and because if you are married, you can kind of. I mean, like I'm not a superhero, but I could sympathize with if something happened, and that was I could kind of feel that, I guess, and it was. When they have a connection like that. And it was I think it was great acting on that.
Browns has a question you can answer.
Yeah. He says, how did Iron Man get the stones from Thanos at the end? Doug, and hold on one second. I will answer that, Browns. But Doug says a buddy cop style movie with Sam and Bucky would be good. Agreed. I'm totally down for that. I think
they're
it'd be
doing
funny.
it, man. They're doing it. It's a show. It's not a movie. It's going to be a show on the new Disney Plus streaming set. They've already announced it.
I'm fine with that. Great.
Bucky and Falcon.
But let's get back to Iron Man. So to answer your question, Browns for Super Bowl, it all looked lost. Thanos had all the gems in his gauntlet, but the gauntlet that he had the gems in was actually one made by Iron Man. Because this is really convoluted if you haven't seen it. But Thanos has come from the past. Because he found out somehow that this is what's going on. Anyway, he comes from the past. It's past Thanos, like 2014 Thanos. He comes to the present, and Iron Man has made this Infinity Gauntlet out of his nanite, his bleeding edge armor. And so that means that it can work to fit anybody's hand. It is nanites, so they're incredibly small. And so what Tony did was he flew down and he grabbed the nanite gauntlet, and he was in control. And so the nanites pushed the gems onto his gauntlet. And so he pulled back, and Thanos went to snap, and he didn't have any gems. It was all on Tony's gauntlet.
Great moment.
It was a great moment. And then what happened was, and this is probably it's not my favorite scene, but it is up there in the top 3 probably scene of the movie. But Tony looks right at him, and he has the gauntlet, and he snaps his fingers, and he says, "I am Iron Man."
Yeah.
And
Thanos says, "I am inevitable." That was the line he said a couple times, and he set him up. And then he says, "I am inevitable," and he snaps, but he doesn't have the gems. And they turn to Tony, and Iron Man's like, "I am Iron Man." Boom, and then he sets it all right.
It's great, and that was the perfect final line for Iron Man in the MCU. Because that was the final line in his very first movie, if you'll remember. He stands at that podium, and Nick Fury says, "Don't say it. Whatever you do, don't tell them that you're Iron Man." And that's exactly what he does. And it was so good. Like that was such a beautiful fan service moment.
Hey, we got a few minutes. I just wanted to I wanted to throw in one last real positive thing that I felt like that the last 2 movies have done, but definitely this one. In my opinion, Thanos is one of the best the best served villains. Marvel was kind of taking some heat for a while because their villains were kind of like a little bit trash. But man, I thought Thanos, Josh Brolin, and Thanos was the quintessential big bad guy, mega bad guy of all time. I mean,
Yep.
Darth Vader is amazing. There's lots of amazing, but he's right up there with some
I
of the
agree with
great
you.
villains all time. He has a great motivation. He
Mhm.
is unrelenting, and man, he fights so hard that you almost find yourself rooting for Thanos.
Yep,
Like especially
absolutely.
like good examples when he's fighting Captain Marvel, he headbutts her, it doesn't affect her. She's starting
Yep.
to overpower him. And because he is the great warrior that he is, he finds a way to get that power gem off of that thing and knock her out.
He pulls it right out, and he's holding it and punches her in the face, and she goes flying. You don't see her anymore either until the end. Like he
Right.
knocked her
He
cold, I
knocked her
think.
out, man. But
Um,
it was a great move. You know what I mean? Like it just showed how great his character was. That
yeah,
it takes everything that everybody has, and there's only one chance. Doctor Strange says, one
yep.
chance in a trillion or whatever
He
that you
didn't
can
even
beat
have.
this.
I don't even think he had one line, but he did this, and Tony knew what he was talking about.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah, that no, I think you're 100% right. And I was gonna say, so Abe asked, did the gyms burn out as well? And so it once again, it's kind of hard to get the whole story in, but in the beginning, the first 5 minutes, um, the Avengers find where Thanos is, and they learn that he's used the gems. So they go to him, and Thanos tells them that he used the gems to destroy the gems. He destroyed them into atoms.
yeah.
So they think hope is lost. They go back in time. It's a heist movie. It's a heist movie and a battle movie and it's an
Hmm.
everything movie. But
Yep.
they go back in time to steal the gems from different time periods, including like the original Avengers movie in 2014, back in the 1940s, all these time periods, 70s or whatever. And so, uh, after they get them, the very last scene of the movie is Captain America gets sent back in time with the gems to put them back in the very moment they took them from, so it doesn't disrupt like the space time continuum. I guess is that
That's
pretty
a pretty
concise?
yeah, that's a pretty accurate description.
All
We've
right.
got about 2 minutes before we got to jump on and move over
And
here.
Zay X says Iron Man dies in Endgame. Oh no, you're in the spoiler cast, so it's fine. We're talking all spoilers.
That's right, buddy.
Um, but yeah, it was a great movie. I think that I was hey, man, I'm really happy. I think I'm gonna go see it again. I
Mhm.
enjoyed it, and I want to enjoy it again. I think I'll enjoy it the second time more.
Okay, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you think, judging from what you've seen, okay, sort of how they've ended some of the things that they set up to begin the MCU, and kind of like
Mhm.
what you see being sort of like brought to you, kind of like offered to you on the screen? How do you think the next 10 years of movies are going to play out? Are you going to be as excited to see them?
It's gonna depend on the character. I think um, they're gonna make good ones that they're gonna get my money still. Not on everything. I skipped Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
I'll probably see it at some point. I might even rent it. That's fine. But I wasn't. It didn't have the same draw
yeah,
for
yeah,
me to go to
yeah,
the theater to see. I think if they start doing X-Men under the Feige formula,
yeah.
then I'll probably be in because it'll
Okay,
probably be good.
yeah,
Especially if they start out classic stuff. You know, their X-Men is going the same way as everything else, but if they start out and they're drawing me in the same way they drew me in with the rest of this,
yeah,
then they're probably going to get a lot of my money. Um, the
yeah.
new A Force stuff,
Ugh.
I'll probably miss because
Yeah.
it's going to be very targeted to a certain demographic and audience, and I'm not in that.
I'm not the demographic, and
I'm not the
that's how,
demographic they're going for, and that's
dude.
okay.
And that's exactly how I feel, and that's exactly what I felt like as that movie progressed. Not only did I enjoy sort of like how some of my favorite characters were ended,
Yeah,
I also sort of felt like the directors really kind of almost in kind of a weird way, and maybe I'm just kind of overthinking it, but I felt like in a weird way they kind of ushered out the old fans like me.
yeah, sure.
Like, okay, guys, we're wrapping this up for you. If the next thing that we're going to do is not your cup of tea, you've got a great 10 years of movies and you should be thankful. And I kind of felt that way, like I got a lot of good movies. We had a lot of fun times in the theater watching
Yep.
Avengers fight bad guys. And that's
Yep.
great.
Yep.
Now we're going into more of a woke category. Progressive identity politics is a thing. And we're going to start moving in that. We're going to start putting like A-Force out there. It's going to be about, all of this stuff.
Yep.
If that's it, that's not. I'm not the audience, and you know
Yep.
what? I'll enjoy something else that somebody else is doing. And if there's one thing that comics has taught me is that you can make great stories and categories for people that are really looking for those great stories.
Yep. Last thing I want to ask you real quick, because we didn't touch on it. How'd you feel about Black Widow dying?
I felt like it was okay. It didn't bother me necessarily that they picked her to die. I loved the fight between her and Hawkeye to see who was going to die. I thought that was great.
Yep.
Tricky and funny and exciting. I don't know. Like I felt like that cinematic universe is better with Black Widow.
Yep.
And of all the things they're pushing, why would they make a Captain Marvel movie before they make a Black Widow movie?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Like she needs to have her own trilogy by now already, because there's all kinds of great storylines you can do with Black Widow.
Yep. No, I agree. She could have the best espionage movie. Like Civil War was incredible, and a lot of it had to do with her. And you could do a whole lot more with her in that spiral, but that's gone now. But I will say those two were so close. They've been close in this MCU since the first Avengers, and you can tell that and feel that. And I think that the movie. I think if you're doing two Avengers that care about each other deeply, those two, besides Cap and Tony, I think, are two that worked really well for that, and that's why they chose them, obviously.
Yeah.
But she was the one that had to die. Like, Hawkeye shouldn't have died. He got his family back. That's what needed to happen. That was good.
I find it interesting that they killed Gamora first, and then they killed Black Widow in the storytelling.
Yeah.
It's almost like, well, why can't a guy die? Why does a girl have to be the one to sacrifice?
Yeah. Well, there's not only so much space to fit girls in A-Force. I think they're just having to weed out
that's awful.
The ones. Anyway.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and cut it off.
Call it.
We really appreciate you
thanks,
listening
guys.
to us. Talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Thank you for watching. I just wanted to give some shout outs to some chat folks. Thank you, Abe Sapien, for showing up. Appreciate you as always. DG, you're the man. A Passing Fancy, thank you for chatting in. We really appreciate it. Come on back. And thank you, Browns, for Super Bowl 54. That's a cool name. Thank you, guys. And Zanax, thanks for chiming in as well.
Yeah.
We are going over to Bruce Patton's channel next. So I'm going to put that link in the chat before we end this. So Macho, would you mind just kind of giving some parting words there?
Yes. Once again, thanks everybody. So we're going on Bruce's channel. Real quick, by the way, check out my sweet glasses I got. But we're going on Bruce's channel, and we're going to be talking about our comic hero, Blood of Patriots, is coming out on Tuesday. We're super excited about that. We're also going to be talking about some other things that Bruce and Mutt have cooked up, I believe. And just generally having a good time. Bruce is awesome. If you haven't subbed to him, you should definitely check him out as well. His art's incredible, and he's just an incredibly nice dude. So we're really excited to be buddies with him. And yeah, appreciate everybody who got to jump in the chat and talk to us about the movie. Thanks for listening to our to us ramble about the good and the bad of the Avengers Endgame. And yeah, I think that's about it.
All right, I got that link for Bruce's show coming up right here in a minute in the chat. So click over to that. We'll be over there right at 10:30.
All right, everybody.
All right. Peace.